One more major issue before we get on to some examples, and that's the issue of inflation. What do we do and how do we account for inflation in the cash flows that are going to happen over the life of the project? I guess we're sort of lucky. Inflation has been relatively low over the last decade or two, but we still need to think about this because as we expand out over a number of years, if a project is going to go out over 20 years, a change in price levels will be significant. So we've really got two choices as to how we do this. What we can do is we could actually forecast cash flows not in today's dollars, but in inflation adjusted dollars. So the real cash flows that will happen 15 years down the track, allowing for the impact of inflation. So essentially what we're having to do there is we're having to forecast price levels. The second estimate is just to estimate the net cash flows without adjusting them for inflation. In other words, doing everything in today's dollars rather than trying to use future dollars. Okay, so what do we do? If we're using the first approach and we're using nominal dollars, then we need to use nominal discount rates. If we're using constant or real dollars, in other words, not inflation adjusted, we need to use real rates. What do we mean by the difference between nominal and real rates? I guess the best way of illustrating that is assume that you've got a term deposit that's going to earn you 10%, but inflation is running at 5%. What's the nominal rate? The nominal rate is the specified rate on the term deposit, 10%. What's the real rate though? Over that period that you've earned the 10%, the value of each dollar has gone down by 5% because of inflation. So your real rate of return will be 10% minus 5%. Your real rate of return will be 5%. So really, when we're talking about real rates, we're talking about taking out the effect of inflation. Okay, so that's basically how we deal with it. How do we deal with it in practice? Look, to be honest, generally people tend to use nominal rates and try to predict forward prices. Okay, and in most of our examples, we're going to keep it pretty simple. We're assuming inflation away, which, given the current inflationary environment, is a reasonable assumption to make.